The moon is one of the most familiar sights in our night sky, but have you ever stopped to think how different the world would be if it never existed? Would humans even still be alive today? Welcome back, everyone. Here's what would happen if the moon never existed. Earth has only experienced life with the moon for about half of its total existence. Before the moon crash-landed into our planet around 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth was a very different place. It's believed that an object roughly the size of Mars slammed into the Earth. This impact was so violent that it knocked a huge chunk of rock into orbit around our planet. Over millions of years, this debris coalesced into the moon we know and love today. And it didn't just appear out of thin air. The moon is made up of material from the Earth's mantle, enriched with some from the colliding body. And this means that every 2 years or so, we are all being showered with a fine dust made up of regolith, which is blasted off the moon's surface by meteorite impacts and the solar wind. In fact, the dust is so widespread that it can be found deep within the Earth's atmosphere and even on the far side of the moon. The moon may be small, just 1/81st the mass of the Earth, but it's still gravitationally attractive, and its gravity tugs on the oceans, creating those wonderful tides we love to hate. But these tides are also one of the major factors that have allowed life on Earth to thrive. If the moon never existed, would life still have evolved the way it did? Some scientists hypothesize that without the tidal forces exerted by the moon, the Earth's atmosphere would have been largely unchanged over billions of years. Without the tides, there would have been nothing to mix oxygen and water vapor up from the depths of our oceans. These elements would have remained trapped underground, and the Earth would have continued to be a barren rock, at least until tectonic plates began drifting apart and releasing volcanic gases. With no moon, humanity wouldn't exist because we simply wouldn't have evolved in the first place. Life might have still found a way to evolve, but it wouldn't have been us. The fishing industry would certainly miss the moon, though. In the UK, an old saying goes, "When the moon in the bottom of the sea, hold your hand. Don't go fishing." According to legend, this advice was heeded by a wise man who survived a shipwreck by staying ashore when the full moon was low in the sky. He knew that the fish were hiding away too, but even if we were here, we'd be living a completely different lives. In addition to having a major influence on the composition of the Earth's atmosphere, the moon's gravity actually makes our planet a bit wider at the equator. Without its gravitational pull, centrifugal force would have less of an effect on the Earth's rotation, and the planet would slowly become more so while the length of a day might not change much, you'd be closer to your neighbors near the poles, thanks to our lack of a moon. But that's not all. The moon also helps keep our planet upright. We could say that the moon is Earth's celestial bodyguard, except instead of fending off aliens, it keeps our planet safe from the sun. You see, the Earth's axis is currently tilted at about 23.5 degrees. This tilt is what causes the seasons, but it also happens to be perfectly stable, thanks to the moon. Without our rocky companion, the Earth's axis would wobble crazily, and the tilt would change wildly, causing extreme and unpredictable seasonal changes. Summers would be unbearably hot, and winters would be frigid. You'd need a thick coat and sunscreen at the same time. And it's not just the weather that would be crazy. The growing length of our days and the changing climate would wreak havoc on the circadian rhythms of animals and plants. This would affect not only the growth and survival of many species, but the development of human civilization as well. Plants would stop producing enough food, and without a stable climate, migration patterns and animal behavior would be thrown into chaos. In short, humanity wouldn't have developed the way it did. We might have been wiped out long before we even got started. But what if we did survive? What would our world look like without a moon? For starters, the sky would be a lot darker at night. The moon reflects 7% of the sunlight that falls on it, and that light can be 10 times brighter than the light produced by the stars. So while looking up at the night sky would be breathtakingly beautiful, you'd need a flashlight just to find your way around. Speaking of light, you'd also need to get used to seeing a lot less of it during the day, because the moon stabilizes the Earth's tilt. We enjoy roughly 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime. Without the moon, days would last between 18 and 20 hours, with long periods of twilight in between. As the Earth wobbled on its axis, the amount of daylight would constantly change. This would also seriously disrupt navigation. Many ancient cultures kept track of time by measuring the stars. Without the moon, calendars would have been thrown into complete disarray. The absence of lunar months would have had a huge impact on religious practices, mythology, and folklore. It would even affect art and poetry. A famous example is Shakespeare's 18th sonnet, which begins with the question, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" Throughout history, lovers have exchanged moon-themed jewelry and artwork as symbols of devotion. Even scientific instruments like telescopes have been named after a rocky satellite. The world would be a much less romantic place without the moon. In fact, the effects of the moon extend beyond Earth. It's believed that the tides actually play a role in protecting our planet from asteroid impacts. Here's how. When asteroids enter the Earth's atmosphere, they burn up in the process. Some pieces, however, make it to the surface. And if they land in the ocean, the tides can help wash them away, breaking them down and dispersing them. This is good news for coastal communities, especially since most major cities are located near water. But without the moon's gravitational pull, dangerous space rocks would pose an even bigger threat to humanity. Not only that, but the absence of the moon could have triggered the extinction of dinosaurs. This may sound hard to believe, but researchers at the University of London have calculated that the moon may have helped our now extinct friends survive a mass extinction event that occurred 94 million years ago. They found that the moon caused distinct bursts of rainfall that helped spread seeds and nutrients throughout the continents. This led to the flourishing of plant life, which in turn provided food for herbivorous dinosaurs. If the moon hadn't been there to provide this boost, the dinos might have gone extinct long before the asteroids did. On a smaller scale, the moon has affected life on Earth through something called lunar chronobiology. This refers to the effects of lunar cycles on biological systems. While there's still debate over whether or not it has any real impact on the human body, it is known to affect the sleep patterns of some animals. During the full moon, nocturnal creatures like raccoons, opossums, and orb spiders tend to be more active. This is likely due to the brighter light levels, which allow them to forage and hunt more. On the other hand, animals who are active during the day tend to spend more time sleeping under the light of the full moon. Since these animals are generally they're better adapted to daytime activity and need more rest to recover from their nocturnal adventures. So if the moon had never existed, a whole host of animals would be living very different lives. But the strangest thing about the moon is that it doesn't just reflect the sun's light, it also emits its own. Although the moon's light is faint, astronomers have discovered that it glows softly across the entire surface. This phenomenon is known as the 10-day glow. No one is exactly sure why the moon shines in this way, but it may be related to meteorites impacting the surface and creating tiny amounts of heat. In any case, this mysterious glow would be one of the things we would miss the most if the moon suddenly vanished. And it's not the only thing. Take a moment to appreciate the moon. After all, we wouldn't be here without it. Okay, now it's time for you to speak up. If the moon disappeared tomorrow, would you be prepared? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out more videos just like this one. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.